Even as America's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, began his two-day trip to India today, Indian national Nikhil Gupta was extradited from Czech Republic to the United States. Nikhil has been accused by America of plotting to kill Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. He was arrested by Czech authorities a year ago on a request put in by the US, who has been charged by American government of conspiring with an Indian national and trying to hire a hitman to assassinate Pannun, who, remember, holds a dual citizenship of the US as well as Canada. The spokesperson for Czech Republic's Ministry of Justice, Vladimir Repka, said that Nikhil's extradition to the US was authorized for criminal prosecution on suspicion of committing the crime of conspiracy to murder for hire with the intent to cause death. Now, Nikhil is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which is a federal administrative detention facility. India has consistently denied any Indian government involvement in this assassination plot, and we have our own probe going on in this matter. India has promised a thorough investigation into this case as well. But what exactly happens now between the two countries? How does this move forward? Let me go across to my guests who are joining me on the show tonight. Mr. Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador, is joining us. Mr. Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, is also joining us. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Ambassador Sajjanhar, let me start with you first. This extradition, of course, coincides with the fact that the United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in India. But do you expect any of these talks to have figured today while he met with Dr. Jaishankar or Mr. Ajit Doval or even the Prime Minister?
Well, not. First of all, thank you very much, Shreya. I don't think this issue would have come up with the Prime Minister in any case, but definitely with Mr. Ajit Doval, who's the counterpart of Mr. Jake Sullivan. I'm sure this issue would have been raised because, even in Washington, D.C., just before the G7 summit in Italy, when this question was asked to the spokesperson of the State Department, and they said that we will continue to raise this issue at very high levels. So possibly it would have been raised with Mr. Doval, maybe even with the External Affairs Minister, because, as you mentioned yourself, Shreya, we, of course, have rejected all these allegations, and we have said that we don't engage ourselves in activities of this nature. But on the basis of certain information that has been shared with us by the Americans, we have set up a high-level committee of, consisting of the concerned officers. So, nothing much really is known as to what are the findings of the committee, even what is the composition of that committee, and what is the sort of preliminary information that the Americans have shared with India on which we are working. So, very little is known, very little is there in the public domain. But this much is clear that India has said that, it is definitely not something that has been done by the Indian government as such. The government never gave any approval, any concurrence, any instructions to this. And if there is something in this, because obviously, the information that has been shared, some sort of evidence that has been shared by the American side, it is important enough. It has substance enough that the Indian government is investigating, is going through that bit of information, that piece of information. So we'll really have to wait and see what comes out of it, whether it is, some rogue elements who have been masquerading on behalf, or for the Indian government, and they have been doing something. I think it's all in the realm of speculation at the moment. Shreya.
Sure. Mr. Lali, do you resonate with that? The fact is that we don't know the particular findings that have been going on in the United States, or even here what we're carrying out, the exact details of the investigations that have been going on. But any substantial evidence that perhaps any of the countries have found? India, of course, has denied the government's involvement in this assassination plot. Do you think it holds some substance, or it's just a lot of hype created by the United States and Khalistani sympathizers there?
Thank you, Shreya. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. So for some reason, this Pannun element really intrigues me. And why do I say that? I mean, I sometimes feel maybe he's one of those CIA puppets that are CIA assets. In a country where wokery can almost be an offense, he on American soil says that he wants to blow up the Indian parliament. Nothing is booked against him. Then he talks about blowing up Air India. Nothing is booked against him. And ironically, Air India is part of Star Alliance, which is 26 airlines in it, which includes Air New Zealand, Air Canada, Lufthansa, Swiss, and not to mention United. So there could be Americans also traveling in that plane, which he is alleging to blow up. And if you look at the timing also, maybe, I'm thinking beyond my brief, but, Modi's win G7 and Jake Sullivan lands in India, Gupta's extradition, and India opts to, sign out of the Ukraine Joint Summit communique. So I feel that there is a lot more than to what meets the eye. And the last word is not yet said on this.
Okay. Sure. Ambassador Sajjanhar, can I also understand from you then, how does it move forward, this whole investigation, the fact that now Nikhil Gupta, the accused Indian national, has been extradited to the United States? How does it move forward between India and the US? How does this move forward within the United States?
I think these are going to be two parallel investigations that will be going on, Shreya, in my view. Again, legalese is not my expertise, but this is what I would imagine is going to happen. Sure. Because the case is already inscribed in the US courts, and Nikhil Gupta, he has been extradited. As you said, he is being held in the Metropolitan Prison in Brooklyn. So the case will now start against him, and I think whatever is the evidence that the US authorities, law enforcement authorities, FBI, etc., have against him, they are going to produce that in front of the court, and the investigation there will go on. And I think there will be a parallel.
And would India have any say in this, Ambassador Sajjanhar?
I'm sure our, Nikhil Gupta himself has his own lawyer who is, who even challenged the extradition from the Czech Republic to the United States. And I think that same lawyer, that same lady is going to represent him in the United States. So I guess if there is any assistance that is required by Mr. Nikhil Gupta, and, since he is an Indian national, I'm sure they'll get in touch with the Consulate General of India in New York, and they will provide whatever advice or guidance that they might require. But the case will go on in the United States. Okay. And what I was going to say is that a parallel investigation and finding will also go on in India on the basis of the information and whatever sort of evidence that might have been provided to us by the American side. And then we'll have to see what comes out of it. What is, whether it is technical intelligence, whether it is human intelligence that they have shared with us. Sure. We will have to go through it, because it's been quite some time that this high-level committee was established. So, even that the findings of that high committee, whether they are going to be shared with the public. We will have to see how this really pans out, Ambassador Sajjanhar. Yes.
But let me quickly ask my last question to Mr. Lally. Mr. Lally, at the cost of sounding alarmist, should we be concerned at all about the Khalistani sympathy being encouraged here back home as well in the state of Punjab? We've been denying it, and we've seen it propagating only on Canadian and American soil. But the fact of the matter is that in the just concluded Lok Sabha elections, we had the likes of Amritpal Singh winning the seat. Should we be concerned about it at all?
Shreya, as a turban Sikh myself, as a proud Indian, I am extremely concerned. Not only is it to do with all of this, fringe rogue which the Western economies allow to prevail under the bogey of free speech. But, Punjab is a border state, and we have Pakistan wanting to get back to us for, so many reasons. And then China also makes Pakistan, a proxy in their foreign policy. So I think it's a matter of extreme concern, and I'm sure the center is looking at it, because being a border state, and unfortunately, the state itself has so many problems right now. So a lot of people, vulnerable people, could fall, prey to this narrative. And Punjab has already paid a very big price for it. So I think it's a matter of extreme concern. While I must also add that a lot of us Sikhs that I'm also a proud Indian, and it's only a very fringe minority that sort of subscribes to it. I mean, otherwise, the kind of people I socialize with, my friends and my relatives and all across the country, this is not an issue for us. So we're happy living in India. It's just that these elements who sometimes can create a nuisance value, and that nuisance value can get out of hand for various other political and geopolitical and economic reasons too.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Lali. Of course, while India is being pointed fingers at, I think a lot of answers need to be given by Canada as well as America for encouraging such elements on their soil. But we'll leave it there. Ambassador Sajjanhar and Mr. Lali, thank you very much to both you gentlemen for joining us on Nation tonight and sharing your perspectives. Thank you very much.